In a minute, I'm going to ask Katie to come on stage, but before we do that, I'm going to play a short video.
Hello, everyone. I'm Katie's super smart AI avatar, created with an AI tool called Synthesia. Katie will be with you live on stage in a few moments, but before that, she's asked me to say a massive thank you to all of you who've taken the trouble to join her this evening for the launch of her third book on AI in sales and marketing. I can do that in many, many languages, unlike Katie, who can only speak English and maybe French and German if she can remember the vocabulary. So you're going to hear a quick flavor of Katie's AI avatar, in other words, me speaking to people in Japanese. When you're listening, imagine you as a solicitor, as a teacher, as a retired nurse, whatever you might be doing, and how useful that could be to communicate with your students, staff, and key contacts across the world. Let's have a listen.
LETS put synthesia to the test and hear Katie speaking in Japanese. Huge thank you for attending KK's book launch. This is her third book on how you apply AI to sales and marketing. Japan is next on her bucket list. SOC hopes to be out in Tokyo in 2026 to see some of you. Thank you for listening and I hope there aren't any errors.
I only did that so I can get a booking to speak in Tokyo next year. Bit gimmicky, and some of the ones that are, that's Synthesia, and there are loads of tools out there that are really able to, like I said, be able to give you that opportunity to talk to your clients, to your prospects, to your mates all over the world. So I just wanted to give you a quick flavour of what that actually is. Festive trousers, festive advent calendar, that's about the maximum I can do for you. So I've only got 10 minutes, and I'm going to give you a quick flavour of the books and some of the work that I'm doing at the moment all around the world. I didn't want to have to write a third book. I wrote one in 2019, one in 2022, and as it was published, Gen AI was launched. So already it was out of date really, really quickly. And I thought, if I'm going to stay up to speed with all of this, then I need some new material. So this is a new book. It was meant to be 20% new content, but it's 100% new content because so much is changing with AI all of the time. And this is relevant for you if you are planning a holiday, but also if you're planning, if you have a business and you're looking at your sales, you want to grow your markets, you want to personalize what you're doing for different customers. So we're going to do 10 minutes to give you a quick flavor of AI in a few different sectors. Now, I do a lot of business to business, but I've chosen examples that are a bit more accessible. I've got my mum in the audience, my husband, I've got friends from all the decades. I'm going to be 59 in January, and over that, I'm looking around the room, and it feels like turning the clock back and seeing all of you from school, from university, and so on. So a quick flavour of AI and the impact it's making. We'll start with travel. We all love to travel. And if you think about AI, AI really is about simulating intelligent human behaviour. It's not the big shiny robot coming and taking all of our jobs. Actually, whether you're a PR professional, a solicitor, a nurse, whatever you might be, you infused with these tools and platforms can actually be almost superhuman. So this is a quick example that shows the personalization that I often talk about.
Welcome to the future here at the Detroit airport. You scan your boarding pass, look up at a giant screen, and you see only your flight information, even how many minutes it'll take you to walk to your gate. But only you can see it. It doesn't matter if you're standing right next to one other person or 100. Each person only sees their own information. Mind blown.
It's otherworldly.
And I can't see a thing.
that is insane.
Can you read that for Mommy at the top? What does it say?
Hello, George.
What?
Really? No way, that's so cool. I can't see anything.
Like, I literally don't. How is that possible?
It's possible because of Albert.
You don't need to know how it's possible. You don't need to know how your smartphones, which are glued to your ear all the time. We're not fussed about the technology, and I actually think we'll stop talking about AI in a year or so's time because we'll be focused much more on the actual benefits to us, to the customer, to the client. So let's open up our Advent calendar. That was the first one. Loads of examples. Spotify, I'm sure you all love listening to music. I'm more of an Apple Music person, but loads of people love Spotify. And at the end of the year, Spotify personalizes for you what they call Spotify Wrapped. And it gives you shareable graphics, a playlist, and it's basically big data. So AI is big data. AI is insights. Insights about you and your habits, but you've got to give consent to use your data. So if I give consent to a bank or a retail organization to use my data, they can personalize the way they communicate with me. If I want a mortgage, my disposable income, the channels I'm on are very different to Scarlett and Christina, my daughters. Different age demographics, different products. They can actually personalize that. And it's the same with the music that you listen to and so on. A couple more examples. This is a legal one. So I've been working in the last few months with big solicitor firms like Brown Jacobson and RPC, and they use an AI tool called Lagora, okay, based around ChatGPT, but specifically tailored for their needs, and of course, very secure as well. And you can see some of the hours. They're reporting weekly savings of hours of time. And again, they've had some cultural resistance, but these firms are using these tools to be able to say to their solicitors, don't go and cross-sell your services to your clients. Try and second-guess what their needs are. Meet their needs, add value. So all of us go up the food chain and are able to be much more strategic because the AI is doing some of the mundane, summarizing, timesheets, first draft of an amazing blog, and so on. So that's some of the legal examples. Another video coming up, just a short one. And this is immersive. So you go into a store and you want to try on a jacket you're going to use for skiing. This is actually heating the changing room such that you know it's going to work in a freezing cold environment.
This is the snow room with daily snowstorms and temperatures reaching -10 degrees. It's the perfect place to try on and test out Canada Goose jackets inside the Wynn Las Vegas Plaza shops.
It is Las Vegas, and it is, quite a well-known brand and a brand that's got a bit of money to spend. But again, that's just a quick example. So you're seeing personalization, not big shiny robot, depersonalizing. It's not dehumanizing, actually quite the opposite, okay? But if you took it to the nth degree and you were hiring in your organization and every step along the way was faceless, for example, a psychometric test on a website and a bot interviewing you, then the HR team doing that interviewing for that company might have actually lost their way, because what you want is the human in the loop. You don't want to be the kind of brand that people go, I don't want to work for them because they're really faceless. Okay, so we don't want it to be all tech. We've got to have the human in the loop. But again, we've got Burberry, we've got these big consumer brands as well as the B2B, firms of solicitors and so on. ML, that means machine learning. It's a part of AI, this family of AI that's been around since the 1950s. Okay, machine learning is a subset of that. But it's big data. Again, don't get hung up on the tech. We're talking about insights. The AI is enabling a brand like Burberry to understand and make recommendations. The same with a retailer, the same with a bank. For my first book, and then again for the second, I had organizations like NatWest saying, we used to treat you as one big homogenous mass. So me, female, they would have said female 45 to 60. If I give them consent to use my data, they can say, Katie has this disposable income, needs this mortgage, needs this loan, and so on. But her daughter Scarlett is a different demographic, is on different social platforms, needs something different. Okay, so we can tailor the content for me, but we can actually tailor the product as well. And that's what we're doing here. Being able to create a social retail store, thinking about what inventory. Think of how much it costs to have too much inventory. From a sustainability, too much waste. But they can predict what stock they need to have, and they can tailor that experience and that stock and that product to meet your specific needs. Okay, so a few more examples. Most of us, I think, here live in the UK. We are all residents of our local authority. We're in East Sussex, some in Kent, London boroughs, and so on. And we want our council to be able to give us a really good service as well. So local councils have been getting on top of AI. Admittedly, there isn't always the budget, but they can do all sorts of things. Look at the second bullet point. AI assistance supporting social care. Okay, really, really important. Helping them manage their cases. So not depersonalizing it, but taking some of that load away from people. Really important. Gen AI tools. The Gen AI really kicked in 2022 and last year. Really giving you predictive analytics so that you can find what the problems are around homelessness or improving public safety, monitoring traffic. It's not foolproof, we know that, because we still sit in traffic jams, we still have potholes in the roads. But the technology is there if they have the budget and if they apply it properly to be able to do a lot of this. A few more examples coming up. Okay, this again, there's no audio here, but just sort of like seeing personalised shopping. Okay, it's not the death of the high street. We're encouraging people to come into the stores, but when they come into the stores, they don't just want to go into a boring old store, they want an experience, okay? They want to see, what does that look like on me, yeah? Scarlett's saying to me, well, maybe you shouldn't wear that backless top, so I had to change yesterday, you know, but the trousers are okay. So it's age appropriate, but it might give me a flavour of what that might look like. Okay, so just really sort of personalising what that might actually mean. Last few examples. This one's, you know, really important. Again, thinking about not just AI, it might be augmented reality, it might be Internet of Things, sensors and so on, but being able to help maybe in the classroom. Yeah, Terry's a teacher. I think there are a few others in the room as well. We can use AI not to replace the teacher or the lecturer or even that, you know, business person, but we can treat, say you're a room of 30 children, I've got people with English as a second language, I might have people with dyslexia and all sorts of other needs. I might be able to stretch some of them by having AI on an iPad that gives them, maybe like that bot, maybe better in another language, or ability to stretch them, you know, with other ways of giving them extra lessons or extra help and so on. But here, we've actually got tools like the blinks and the glances with your eyes, predicting what a phrase might be so that you can help children with special educational needs, dyslexia and all of that as well. Okay, last couple of slides coming up, and then I'll share my scorecard, which I'm helping a lot of organisations to do. So this is similar. This is a bit of AI and a bit of augmented reality, and this is simulating the waves. So let's have a quick look.
So we're excited to be here at CES. We're demonstrating two simulators. One is our flightboard simulator, and then we have our other simulator that allows you to experience auto docking, what it's like to drive a boat, as well as a guided eco tour. The entire environment, everything in it was built in Unreal, so that was an incredible experience to actually build out a world, you know, that we boat in all the time in a digital space. And it has both a below water view that's displayed on the HMI, as well as what's around you in this giant 210-degree immersive screen. Now we can actually play with motion and graphics and using the real-time engine to kind of power a lot of the more immersive experience that you can't get any other way. And so there's a lot of data coming in, and it's really important.
So I work with a lot of chief marketing officers, but also HR and learning and development teams, and this is helping them simulate in a teaching environment, in an acting environment, as a solicitor. Again, what does that look like from an immersive point of view, and how can we train people remotely? And that can be done and be very inexpensive to actually do. So, you know, it's really, really wide-ranging. So that's just a quick flavour of some of the examples. And the final thing I want to talk to you about is quite a busy slide coming up, and it's a new scorecard. So Paul said that I'll share with you, you know, frameworks and stuff. In the book, you've got loads of frameworks, toolkits. End of every chapter, you've got a summary of, you know, that particular focus and what those key messages are. And I had this in book 2, and this is updated for this latest book, which you've all got a copy of, by the way. Normally, Kogan Page are here selling copies of the books, and you've got to shell out £30. But LinkedIn have been amazing, and they've invested in a copy for all of you, so I'm delighted that you've all got that. So this is a scorecard, and what a lot of companies all around the world are doing is gamifying this, okay? They are allowing their teams to, for free, to go away and think about, as we plan for 2026, how can we use AI across our marketing, our sales, our customer experience, and our HR? So you've got 10 boxes. You give yourself a score in each box of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 points. Okay, so therefore you can score a maximum of 50 points. Most people, most firms, most teams score somewhere in the middle, which means they're transitioning. Okay, they haven't yet completely got their heads around AI. Okay, when I wrote book 1 in 2019, people were being told, just open up your shopping bag and buy some AI. Don't care what it looks like, don't care what it does, don't even care if it's really AI. 2022, different, starting to be a bit more strategic, but doing a few little pilots. Okay, if some of you are familiar with the Gartner hype cycle, you start down here at innovation, then you come up to the peak of paranoia, okay, and the hype and the expectation. We dropped down into what we call the trough of disillusionment, okay? I'm still quite disillusioned. You saw that chatbot. Yeah, I look like Chucky. Yeah, it's not that good. But that trough of disillusionment, some of us are interacting with chatbots on our bank's website or our telecom provider's website. It's still not amazing, probably because that bank has not yet invested in the new best ones, okay? Anyway, coming back to here. So what you do, you give yourself, like I say, a score of 0 to 5. So let me give you a quick flavour of what they are, and then I'll wrap up and join the rest of the team for a panel. Number 1, this could be a toolkit for coping with the next pandemic. God forbid we don't have one, but it could happen. But even when AI is gone and it's history in X years, there will be new tech transformation, something else to cope with, quantum, whatever it might be, okay? So do you have the right mindset for change? Not just for AI, but for change. If you don't, unfortunately, you are going to be the ones left behind. So AI, whether you're an actor, a solicitor, a nurse, a marketeer, a PR professional, you're not going to get replaced by AI, you're going to get replaced by the people who are using AI when you are not, okay? And the same in your homes. You know, you might be thinking, resisting this. Your kids, unfortunately, do need to be on top of this. Yeah, I see where Australia are coming from with their ban on social media, but at the same time, are those young people going to be equal to their peers around the world when they're in an international job market? It's a tricky balance. So the right mindset for change, number 1, doesn't mean you need to be techie. You, as the chief marketing officer, the chief legal counsel, HR, whatever you are, you don't need to be techie. Of course, you've got to have tech people, or you're outsourcing to partners. LinkedIn has got incredible AI in its tools as well. But you've got to have that right mindset. Number 2, do you have the buy-in from the board, from the management team? You might be 5 people. I'm a one-man band now, okay, and I'm 59 in January. I keep saying it. I'm trying to get a sympathy vote. But it doesn't matter what age you are, okay? A lot of young people might be coming out of school, college, university, and apprenticeship. They should be really cutting edge, but they might be on a course that actually hasn't prepared them very well. Equally, you could be 30, young family, working full-time, haven't got that mindset that you want to cope with any more change, or you could be my age and older. Okay, so it isn't about age, but you need the buy-in. Number 3 and 4 are probably the most important. Don't just jump on it in a tactical way. Have a business plan, okay? 3 things that AI might be able to help you to achieve. Maybe saving money, maybe mapping on to new potential clients in a different geographic region. The AI can give you that big data. And then number 4, when you've got that business plan, go and do some small proofs of concept, some experimentation. Okay, so in book 1, a bank in Denmark failed with its first AI project because it didn't take on board staff issues. They thought they were all going to be replaced, and the tool was quite gimmicky. But that wasn't the end of it. They iterated that technology And a year later, they used the same AI technology to onboard their new banking clients. Okay, so experimentation is really, really important. 5, collaboration, partnerships. There are grants in the UK that you can get from universities where they pay 75% of a PhD student's salary to come into your organization to help you map and create your own bespoke AI tool for your organization. You've got to collaborate with your competitors because you've all got to understand how does AI change the future of the legal sector, the banking sector, the publishing sector, the acting world, whatever it might be, insurance and so on. Okay, last line here, skills and talent. Of course, you've got to have people in your organization who can code, AI can code. You need techies, but you might actually be outsourcing that to a partner, to another provider. It's not just about ChatGPT. People and culture. This does change your people. It does change your culture because unfortunately you can't sit still, okay? But you don't lose the values that you have as an organization. And I'm a big fan of Simon Sinek, who talks about why, okay? It's not what we do, it's not how we do it. Why do we do what we do? Why are we in business? I think that's really, really important. And I'm a one-man band, but I've spent many, many years, because I grew up on the 11th floor of a council flat in Tottenham, okay, which I'm very proud of. But I want to keep going back to that and give, okay? So I'm a one-man band, but I spend quite a bit of time pro bono, for free, okay, helping these young people, 16, 17. Did it in Tottenham, I've done it in Sussex and Kent. And when I went out to South Africa, I did it with some of the township schools of South Africa, and plan to do it in other countries as well, showing them how AI is changing skills. The techies get it, okay? There are young people studying data science and computer science and so on. But what about those studying English or doing a degree in law or media or football? AI is shaping every single career. And unfortunately, our curriculum at A-level, at GCSE, apprenticeships, isn't necessarily fit for purpose. So we've got to close that skills gap, okay? So we've got to keep innovating, we've got to be having that competitive edge, or we get left behind. And this isn't just for the big companies with the big budgets, okay? Last 2, wider impact. Of course, AI has a big impact globally. It could help us crack some of the world's biggest issues, the United Nations' big goals of eradicating poverty, hunger, and so on, okay? But it's not an equal world. But of course, we've got the big ethical issues. Maybe over the networking, we might talk about some of those big issues as well. They're things that we've got to think about. Governance, I'm on the all-party parliamentary group for enterprise adoption of AI. It's a lot of work to do because different legal jurisdictions around the world are coping at a different pace. Okay, what's the law in China? What's the law in Scotland? What's the law in England versus, the EU's got the world's first binding law on AI. But many other countries haven't got that. Some much more liberal, some, we're never going to know because they might not share what that actually looks like. Okay, so don't know where you'd all score, but please go away and have a think about it at home, with your families, with your teams. Many will still be traditional, but you can leapfrog very quickly. Okay, even simple things like just getting started with ChatGPT, not just for summarizing things for you or writing emails, but a lot of people are using it for that. They're using it to create the first draft of a blog. They're using it to be little bit more diplomatic with the emails that they're sending to the chief exec and so on. But there's loads of ways. Use it to plan your next holiday to South America or to wherever else you're going to go. Okay, so that is just a quick flavor. I hope it's given you some food for thought. It's certainly not exhaustive. The book took 9 months to read, so probably to write even, sorry. Hopefully it doesn't take you that long. I expect to see pictures of you all reading it on Christmas Day. But thank you for listening, and thank you all primarily for coming and supporting me tonight. Thank you.